The long-awaited Season 4 of Only Murders in the Building has arrived with one of the darkest episode endings in the series. In this season, our favorite podcasters are leaving the busy streets of New York City and heading to the bright lights of Hollywood. It all starts when Charles, Oliver, and Mabel go to Los Angeles to meet a group of people who want to turn their podcast into a movie. But things get really interesting when Charles's stunt double and old friend, Sazz Pataki, suddenly goes missing. This sets up the main mystery of the season. So, what do we know so far? The gang has finished up the latest season of their Only Murders in the Building podcast with Charles recording the final voiceover for the episode. A power surge derails things momentarily, and Charles and Oliver quip about how the building hasn't had a power outage like that since the building incinerator was in use. After wrapping the podcast, the group heads up to Charles's place for a nightcap, and much to our surprise as viewers, his apartment is empty and there is no sign of Sazz, who we all recall was seemingly shot and killed in the Season 3 finale. We see signs of blood on the oven handle and the bullet hole in the window, but the group is too distracted to notice the signs around them that something strange occurred. The following day, Charles wakes up and finds that Sazz has yet to respond to any of his texts, and he keeps hearing a whistling from within his apartment. Charles isn't sure at first as he tells the group about his concerns with not being able to reach Sazz, and thinking that the whistling he keeps hearing is the universe telling him something is wrong because Sazz was a whistler. When he gets a text from Sazz saying she had to jet off to LA to cover Scott Bakula for a job, it doesn't take much for Oliver to use that as a means of insisting they fly out to meet with the studio. Charles keeps hearing whistling as he fails to hear from Sazz. He thinks he spots her in the crowd and chases after her, only to discover it was actually Bakula. Charles asks Bakula if he's seen Sazz, and he tells Charles that she was supposed to double for him on a pilot last week, but never showed. Charles, Oliver, and Mabel sneak off to Sazz's apartment, and Charles picks the lock in order to get inside. They hear something fall, and they think maybe it's Sazz. This got me wondering, why didn't they look through the apartment after they heard something moving around in there? Charles's suspicions only intensify as he finds notes about him. Besides the note saying looking at Charles, a few other things on Sazz's desk in LA. A script for Access Denied. The Future is Terminal, maybe a cyber thriller. A scorecard from The Five. 1/2 Lesbian Brothers Invitational Golf Tournament with Long Game written on it. ALAX JFK Plane Reservation with Helga written on it. A napkin with the numbers 11 and 13 crossed out. Then 26, 14, 86. A note with the name Dudnoff, and a sticky attached to it with the number 773440. A note saying West Tower, Arconia. A note saying cancel doctor appointment for Thursday at 10 a.m. Out of town till 23rd. And for her career, the Burn Gel Quarterly Newsletter, a Stuntwoman's Workout book, and the Stunt Workers Union 2023 calendar. As they're looking around the apartment, Lester calls about the note Charles left requesting the window in his apartment be repaired. The only problem is Charles never left a note. Lester tells him the note mentioned the kitchen window needing to be replaced as there is a hole in the glass, which is when Charles asks if it's small like a bullet hole and tells Lester not to touch the window. The group heads back to New York to investigate Charles's apartment, which is when they notice the window hole and blood on the stove handle. Howard brings Gravy up to the apparent, and she circles around the floor, clearly picking up a scent, and then leads them through the building down to the old incinerator in the building, calling back to the power surge. When Charles opens the incinerator door, he finds a pile of fresh ashes as well as steel plates that belong to Sazz, confirming the group's worst fears. Sazz has been murdered. As the episode ends, Charles gets a text once again from Sazz's number in which the sender makes it clear that they're not your fucking friend. Now, who killed Sazz? This season's killer is way scarier and more capable than our past murderers. A shot like that, and using the incinerator for cleanup, seems almost like a professional assassin. Plus, they have to know the building features and layout really well. So, is the killer Howard? Because Howard wasn't in the room with them when that text got sent, and he was at the party when Sazz and Charles were talking about Joy and Bakula. Plus, he definitely was aware of when Sazz said that she would go to get the wine. Is it just a coincidence that he got a former cadaver dog just when the team would need to know that a death had occurred in the apartment? He was also not seen in the final few frames of the party we saw. could be yet another Howard red herring, but something feels off. Howard is also obsessed with being in a podcast. He even suggested that Mabel and him start a podcast about dogs. He knows that if he killed someone in the building, he'd be in their podcast. Or maybe it was Jen. We know that she started dating Sazz some time after her arrest. Jan initially appears to be sweet and quirky. However, her later actions reveal that she is capable of immense jealousy, rage, and cruelty. And the sweet personality is a front she puts on in order to function in society. She cannot deal with being second to anyone, which drives her to extreme actions. She is very interested in psychology and communication. She even took a class in nonverbal communication. She quotes her therapist as saying, "We are all driven to recreate our first wound to change the ending," and is seen to do this by murdering Tim when she believes he doesn't put her first. But I don't think it's likely because this is a completely different way of killing than her usual poisoning and looking at her victims as they ask for help. And she's probably still in jail for killing Tim. Was it Joy? After her and Charles almost got married and ended up breaking up due to Charles' false engagement. Could she have gone mad and try to kill him? The lights on Charles's room was off, so the killer could have mistaken Sazz for Charles. Even if Sazz wasn't the intended target, whoever now has her phone knows enough about her schedule to tell Charles that she was going to LA to be Scott Bakula's stunt double. Maybe Joy did the hair and makeup for them, and that's how she knows where Sazz was supposed to be. Or did Sazz kill herself? Maybe Sazz heard they were making a movie about the Only Murders podcast. And since she's been a stunt woman her whole life, maybe she wanted to be remembered for more than just her stunt doubling. So she hired a hitman to kill herself in a dramatic way to be the center of the movie. But based on the ending and shock on her face when she got murdered, I don't think this is the case. Who do you think killed Sazz? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.
Paramount? The pictures?
They want to fly us all out to LA for some meeting next week.
Howdy do! I am back, baby! Fuck the theater!